I don't want to make it sound more complicated than it is. The idea is to make, CX, or that's customer engagement and communication, so simple for SMB that they can manage everything from, their Android phone is on Play Store right now, might come in iPhone, but, again, for India market is Android, which is, mainly that we're looking at. So using this application, SMB owner or a founder can literally manage anything. He can manage his calls, he can manage his WhatsApps, which are the basis of customer interaction in an SMB. He can also manage his staff because he can see, which staff is handling which calls, and what are they really speaking to customers. Because in an SMB world, where they do not have like 100,000 employees working with them, unlike an Amazon or a Flipkart. But these are also founders who are hungry. If you look at Bharat's growth, the rate at which we are growing now, the future of growth that we keep talking about is all about these SMBs. 99% of, I was reading, today's National MSME Day, I was reading a stat that 99% of India's businesses are SMBs. We didn't validate the fact, but I'm very sure over 90% of India's businesses are SMBs. And these are hungry, ambitious, intelligent people, unlike what we often have, preconceived notions about them. What they kind of, obviously with them, there are constraints of money and of time. And we wanted to make something very simple, put it in their hand to be able to manage their business, their customer engagement, scale it up as effectively as a Flipkart or an Amazon scales it up. So that is it, what Heyo Phone is all about. We launched December end last year. The beta launch went in December. We had an alpha testing phase before this. And since we launched, the growth has been strong. Of course, we did face hiccups around the way. Who doesn't? But we are close to 500K downloads now. We have crossed 100K plus trials. We crossed 10K plus paid users, which is difficult in an SMB world. These are very value conscious people. Even if to get a smallest of payment, like a lot of founders like say Khatabu, etc. vouch for. It's very difficult to get this segment to pay unless they're absolutely convinced about the value you're putting on the table. So that's what it's about. And I'll go a little into the backstory of Heyo Phone and why we launched it and what are we thinking in terms of taking it ahead. Yeah. Can you hear me, Sanad? Okay, I didn't hear a disturbance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, building for small businesses, again, require a certain amount of on-ground experience and empathy. Now, empathy might sound like a strange word here, but I'll explain why empathy in a couple of minutes. Heyo is basically, by the way, is by the same founding team as my operator. So Ankit, who is a co-founder CEO, has been building solutions for sometimes in the SMB space, as part of my operator, which is again into cloud communication. It covers, it also had 50-60% SMB audience at one point, then they migrated to mid-market plus enterprise audience more. His insight was to build something which reduces the complexity of the product and make it really, really accessible for the business owner. I joined him last year. I've been an entrepreneur myself, been a founder myself, building products. And my insight was to get into the shoes of the user. That is why I was talking about empathy, empathy as in really, really understanding who you're building for. So when sitting in air conditions metro offices, so to speak, the cool co-working hubs, we often make assumptions for Bharat or small businesses. We assume they are of a certain kind, none of which may be true. We are actually building for intelligent, hardworking people who wants every bit of value for his buck. That's what Heyo Phone is. Gives an SMB no frills customer engagement or a communication app at an affordable price. Price matters. And who doesn't it matter? If it's not mattering to you as a businessman, it's not a business, it's then a hobby. When launching it, we were mindful of this large, diverse market. Again, this market is not homogeneous. It's a very heterogeneous market. Various languages, not really the SECA, English-speaking Janta. We are going into people who speak various languages, regional languages. We're going to people with very regional aspirations. So we have to be mindful of this diversity that we are building for. So we broke this into stages. There was a very long alpha phase where we went to early adopters. At this stage, we visited shops, we talked to businesses, we actually literally gate crashed SME offices, gave the product for free. We took those insights to build further. It's only when this kind of went for 6 months plus. Then we transitioned to a paid beta only with enough insights. So that was towards the end of last year. And I think that has been, if you ask me what we did to cover bases, I think that's what, at every stage when moving from one phase to another, we have just looked at data and we have looked at insights very deeply. And we have got into the shoes of the small business. And at sometimes, I've kind of now visited so many small businesses myself, walked into shops, talked to them, that all, well, at the risk of sounding a know-it-all, which of course I am not, I still think that I'm becoming a small business myself. I've started thinking like them. How do we save money? How do we achieve what we have to achieve? How do we be profitable? And because that's at the end of the day, that's what a business is all about. And that's what we are facilitating at Heyo. I hope I answered your question there.
Yes, you actually did. So what went behind here is something we got to know right away. And I guess, yeah, so small businesses overall, you're right. It's tough to get them on board because they all look for value and, working with you even. So I did mention earlier, I do take care of partnerships and marketing with Rimjhim at Heyo Phone. And what I've also realized working with her and talking to businesses is that it's very tough to get them on board if you don't show them the value. So yeah, let's talk about the value, Swatantra here. So for Able Jobs, from what I know, Able Jobs trains people as well as connects them and the companies that are hiring. Correct me if I'm wrong, and just giving a very basic idea from what I could understand. What made you opt for this business altogether? Training people and then going forward and then connecting them with companies. And what initial thoughts went into when you took it from 0 to 1?
Cool. So I think, Sanad, I will first give you a context of who we are. So we are a skilling app where you could prepare for non-tech job roles, sales, operations, MIS analysts, etc. And so we have, right now we have more than 2.5 million users across the country who use our app to upskill themselves for these job roles and then apply for the companies which are hiring for these roles through courses, quizzes, etc. And a part of these users take a paid offering, which are boot camps, 1 month long, where they go through a very rigorous training, one-on-one sessions, online classes, assignments. They get upskilled, and once they have the skills, just like a university, they sit for placements. And where all these companies which are hiring for the roles, they take their interviews. Now they are skilled and they get a job. How it all started, I think it's been 4 years now. So it started actually as a side project. I and my two co-founders, we were initially trying to teach upskill NIS, these open universities, NIS, IGNO. We were trying to help students in these universities to get upskilled so that they could better perform in their exams, BCom, BSc for all these degrees. And definitely it all starts, you talk to them, understand their problems, what are the challenges. And there were some pretty interesting insights. When we talked to a couple of users, there was a user persona, like many of the students belong to humble background, and job was something that was some kind of the biggest promise that you could offer. It was not a degree, but to get them employable, because that's where you could solve their actual problems, right? Socioeconomic, financial problems, etc. And that started aligning us towards how to upskill the students, that we could actually get them the outcome they desire. That is a job, right? And then we started understanding from the companies, met a lot of founders, HRs, to understand what exactly is required from there. And there we get to know that the companies are struggling for their hiring needs. Companies are, for support role, companies are taking 100 interviews just to hire maybe 5 or 10 of the candidates. And so in this journey, I will say that it's more of a journey for us, that in the entire going from the learners to the companies, we found that the thesis started originating that skill gap is the fundamental problem that needs to be solved if we have to solve unemployment. And that's where we started. The 01 was actually on WhatsApp. App came into picture later. My co-founder used to make the resources after we had a discussion with the companies what exactly they are looking for. The basically courses used to be able, the students used to be sent these documents on WhatsApp. They used to ask doubts on chat. Then we used to go on calls, and we started placing candidates. So the thesis, like if we upskill and get them these skills, which are actually required by the companies, became kind of started getting proved, and that's how Able came into picture too. So we are a skilling company that's upskill the job seeker for these job roles which are available right now.
That's unique actually. When you say, started out with WhatsApp, I think I just had one example in mind where somebody just started doing something and they realized, oh, it can be turned into a full-blown thing. So that's actually very unique. And of late, wherever I go, we have been talking a lot about how WhatsApp is going to be the face of communication in the coming days. I think you just proved that for everybody right here, that it was already a face of communication back in 2019. We are just seeing the light of the day now. So there's that. And you're very right in solving problems. That is where, Manish, I would like to come to you now, talking about Fello. Now, Fello is an interesting product. And as much as I dislike to admit it, I won't say it, I dislike to admit it, I am from the Gen Z. So when I saw that, it is a product targeted especially at Gen Z, helping us understand, figure out personal finance and investment, but combining it with gaming, it actually blew my mind. I would love to understand what is Fello, first of all, because that is what people need to understand. And why did a finance expert return from US to start something like that in India?
Got it. So I'll answer both those things eventually, like a form of a story. And firstly, what Fello does as a business is we're trying to make banking fun and rewarding for the young Indians. How exactly our application works is very simple. For every 500 rupees a consumer saves and invests through our application, they get one weekly gaming ticket, using which they can play the weekly game, and they win that, they get to win rewards up to 1 crore. Even if they don't win in the weekly game, nothing to worry. The money is safely and securely saved in the asset of their choice, which have the potential to get up to 12% returns. So the more they save, the more they can actually play and win. So we are trying to sort of make banking fun and rewarding by incentivizing them. What exactly every other payment application and credit applications right now are doing, where they're celebrating spending, we want to celebrate savings, and that is how we want to sort of bring them into healthy banking ecosystem. How exactly we came across this problem statement was pretty exciting. Like when me and Shaurya, when we both decided to build something, we started speaking with over 1,000 such working individuals across Gen Z and young millennial target group. And one of the biggest problem statement what we found with these people was they had a very low inclination towards healthy finance, still saving money in traditional savings bank account, hardly getting any returns, and hardly explored the other financial equity markets or mutual funds. The percentages were super low, though we see the fuss going around so loud. When we went to actual primary research, we found the numbers to be very, very shocking. And in spite of these financial vulnerable conditions, one of the biggest data point what we got was these people are highly excited towards gamifications and gaming applications. Like we got one of the biggest source of information that they moved from a cash economy to a cashless economy only because of Google Pay and Phone Pay, no one else, because they were getting incentivized. Secondly, they were ready to spend an average of 100 to 200 rupees into gaming applications to get financial rewards of 1,000 rupees. So they're hoping that X to go to Y at the end of the day. And if you see in the fintech ecosystem, finance ecosystem and banking also, you put X and you hope that to go to Y. But when we ask these people, why don't you use the same money to save and invest in a healthy way and earn in a decent manner? The biggest answer what we got from these people was traditional finance is boring. That is what we got in a nutshell. And I was able to relate to it, like the people with whom we were able to sort of speak to it, relate to it. No one are using the banking applications. Everyone is using a third-party banking application for transactional activities. But bank as an institution is the source which is supposed to bring in healthy financial inclusion. But unfortunately, every bank in India is finding that to be the biggest challenge. And that's why they start partnering with startups to solve this financial inclusion problem. So that is where we thought, why don't we wrap around the entire banking ecosystem with a gamified experience and see how that shapes up. So what we did is we gave the same look and feel of what a gaming app gives. We kept the entire backend transaction ecosystem of a savings first application and offered both the worlds under a single app called Fello. So this concept is actually called price-linked savings. It is a very, very famous concept in the US, UK, African markets. There are regulations written around this thing in those countries. And when we saw, when we got this problem statement and solution, we were excited and scared at the same time. Excited because no one in India were doing it. scared because again, no one in India were doing it. Like there should be a reason why no one is doing it. That is where my previous experience of regulations and legal side of things come in. We went through every bit of regulation, found that absolutely fair and square doable. So that is when we got the absolute excitement. Let's go and hit it and started validating it. That's where I slightly resonate with what Swatantra did. We got our first 10,000 consumers only through WhatsApp, nothing else. We had a very sweet referring message and it just went viral. In the first, 4 weeks, we got in 10,000 consumers organically, of which 80% of the people are investing and 60% of the people were reinvesting. And that was more than enough for us to go and get the first check. We were validated a very 10,000 people, but we had a very good sizable investments coming in from there. So that is how we said that we validated an idea, because an idea can be, a business. There's no hard and fast rule that an idea will be a business, but a business will always be an idea. So once the idea got validated, then we started building the next building blocks. And right now we're inching towards hitting the 1 million user base. Probably will be closing it by end of next month. So yeah, that is where we are. And that is how we're trying to solve it. Why I came back from US to India? India is a space to be, man. We're talking about 1.4 billion users. Every country is looking over here. Facebook has partnered with Reliance to penetrate into deep Indian communities. In the next 5 years, I believe India is going to be something way, way, way bigger. And I guess number of people are going from India to US will reduce very, very significantly. And that's where opportunity lies. So this is something which I always wanted to do. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I moved back from US to India to build something for India. Yeah.
That's actually what we say, foreign investment coming to India, I guess.
Yeah, udhar se paise le rahe, to udhar se take the money there and build for India. Why not? So good to do.
No, of course. Of course, and you're very right, again, having worked for Heyo, been building it for the last 1 year, we realized that India has such a big market that anything and everything, at least you can try selling it. You can try finding a solution, and there are so many problems and so many innovative ways to solve them, that you can always look for something new. You go out in the market and you just open one of these platforms where all these new startups are listed. And you can find various different things, such as I stumbled upon Fello through this particular webinar. I was like, oh, this is a new thing. So I'm pretty sure every day if you start exploring India, you will stumble upon, oh, this is a new thing factor in every industry that is out there. So
forget everything. It's just the volume of people. So, I kind of spoke to a delegate from Canada last month, and they were wooing us that, please come to Canada and you should start there. We're like, where are the people? Show me the people, I'll come there.
Yeah, I think we can start. If we want to start something in Canada, maybe we can empower a lot of Indians. Many of them will move to Canada anyways, so they can empower Canada on their behalf. So that is one way of doing it, probably. So I think, yeah, you're very right. We saw in all these three conversations that we just had, I think we saw how you can do it. WhatsApp has been a very big medium. I think we'll see more of that. Now, the 0 to 1 part is what we have just figured out. Let's move on to the 1 to 10 thing, because that is where I think a lot of people in the audience would be waiting, that I have an idea, I have set up a business, I have a small team, and I know it can work, but how do I make it work types? So Rimjhim, I'll head back to you only. See, Heyo Phone is essentially a B2B brand, right? Because it is dealing with businesses only. But end of the day, the TG being SMB, it is very similar to B2C also. Because these people, the buyer is the user, the nature is very B2C. So I'm aware that Heyo garnered, over 100K downloads in less than 6 months of its beta launch. So we would just love to understand what all routes and what all strategies did we take to find the product market fit that works for Heyo, and the placement of Heyo in the market. Which geography, which cities did we go to, and how did we find the SMBs out there in India?
Right. Okay. So, I think we are still, I really don't kind of put myself in either the 10 to 100 or the 1 to 10 packet. For me and the growth team, as you know, is still day zero. And, in fact, just an anecdote. Yesterday, I met a senior leader from media. He said, Rimjhim, you're scaling very fast. I thanked him, but I still don't think so. We're scaling just about the right pace. And we've seen, and I kind of to reiterate the point that I made in my first question. The only reason that we have seen acceleration is because we are very, very data driven. When you scale, you kind of, you often lose sight of the objectives, you often lose sight of the metrics. And that is where, even when your, maybe your numbers, your vanity metrics start looking good, but then you start falling on the margins. Here we've been trying to balance, well, not trying, we have been focused on balancing both. So what we do is we execute growth hacks, we see data, we improvise, we repeat. It's kind of a cyclic, everything is planned. When we start, I'll tell you a few of the strategies if it helps anyone else in the audience, and we're happy to have deeper conversations. So when we started, we used performance marketing. So both Swatantra and Manish said they use WhatsApp. Well, we used WhatsApp's parent company Meta. We use Facebook quite a bit because our insight told us that again, Facebook and WhatsApp have very high penetration Indians all across. In terms of geographies, yes, we did take a focus market, especially for alpha and a beta launch. We took the Delhi NCR area, and again, I think one of the reasons was the team was there, so there was this proximity thing. Second, also in terms of SME concentration, Delhi NCR has been one of the highest concentration of SMEs. So also we wanted a team, the customer success or the research team out there who could go and meet SME. So combination of that made us choose Delhi NCR. As I said, we started to use performance marketing, and we still do that very meticulously. And I think, it's kind of, if you're scaling for India, if you're scaling for a larger population in Bharat, Facebook is one of your best friends. We added ASO, and we saw our organic numbers grow. And we've done all the boring things, actually gone, looked at the keyword that people are searching for, looked at the keyword that people are reacting to, experimented with languages, with Hindi, English. When we went to Calcutta, we tried Bangla. When we went to Chennai, we tried Tamil. And we kind of done endless experiments. And we owe it to the entire team who works that we repeatedly do experiments, do all the boring stuff, and kind of repeat them ad nauseum. We added influencer marketing in control loops. And again, the Instagram influencers or YouTube influencers. And we started seeing a value in them. These are people who are directly talking to a TG. And, somehow influencer marketing worked for us. Well, I'll not say somehow, it was kind of obviously a well thought out thing. But even I didn't expect it to work at this level, There was one day, I remember this day, and I was at Chennai airport. I was just coming from meeting from some partners. And suddenly my phone started buzzing. I was about to off my phone, we were about to board. And I was like, what happened? People were panicking. Something has happened, we were getting 300 downloads till yesterday. Somehow we are at 10,000 downloads today. I was like, what happened? And people, and when something really good happens at that scale, you don't think, you basically, your kind of panic buttons hit first before your happiness, chemicals start kicking in. So what happened was, the influencers that picked it up, they started talking about this product, started talking about how easy it is, the price points, etc., and it has gone viral. We were not prepared. Honestly, we were not prepared. Our servers broke. The entire infrastructure went for a toss. And at some point, we actually pulled back the campaign. But it showed us the power of the tactics that we're using. It showed us that what we could do if we just scale this path up. So we have kind of continued with influencer marketing. Again, we've been more controlled with it. We want to scale it up. Now that funds are hitting us, we'll probably be scaling it up in the next 3 months. So one other thought that has stayed to us is that we want to grow profitably. So that is why, after every phase, whichever tactic we introduce, we look at, is my LTV, what is my LTV to my CAC ratio? That becomes, that's a number that's literally there on my, there's a tab already always open on my laptop, which is, giving me this number from Xpanel or from Branch or the other tracking mechanisms that we use. So because of the profitable growth being our, kind of number one North Star metric, we've kind of, now that we have gone on initial numbers, we are now going to the next stage of building communities, looking at retention figures. So we've introduced channel partners in our mix. We are already working with 50 plus channel partners. We had just the partner email last week. It was so nice to see how excited they're about the product and about taking it to the masses and saying that finally there's a product which is not complicated, which is not built for the enterprise, which has thought about the business owner or the smallest business owner first. Again, we are kind of working with a lot of communities here. We are working with the business networks like BNI, etc. I'm giving up all my hacks, but but I know it's finally the detail is finally in the execution. Ideas are dime a dozen. So we're working with these communities. We're working directly with SME chambers. We're working with doing community meetups everywhere. Again, for us, is all about being really close to the customer, targeting the channel that he is on, and making sure whatever we do, my LTV to my CAC ratio never goes too off. So, I mean, that is it, it makes sense.
I think that's quite a lot. That is all saying is that is quite a lot to take in. It's for the people also. So Swatantra, just adding it to this or taking this question further, I just checked on Play Store. Able Jobs has already crossed, I'd say, 1 million plus downloads, right? So how long did it take for you to reach your first 100K? And then similar question to as I asked Rimjhim, what all did you do to reach your audience? Whom did you target? How did you find the right fit for your product in the market?
Cool. So I think I will just restrict my answer from till 100K. It took us more than, I think, more than 1 year to reach 100K. And one reason was that for a long time we were bootstrapping, and the growth was, we were super. It quite often depends on the sector and what the channels which would work for you, and you have to experiment on that. So if for us the thing was that only a percentage of the users who install the app was generating revenue for me, right? So I need more volume, and then a percentage of which would be converted into a paid user. So performance was not making sense for us. So we had to figure out some organic growth channel. So in India, I think it has seen YouTube as your go-to channel when you start your journey. And
Right.
we were just three co-founders when we started. So my co-founder Ravi's started working on YouTube, and we made a YouTube channel, and he used to post content on YouTube for the kind of audience we wanted, right? We were focusing on non-tech job roles, so there were videos on what career opportunities you have after you complete your BCom, sales interview, question answer. So in this way, the idea at that time was just to focus on one channel, because we were pretty sure that we would be going on organic itself. No other option was, and each channel takes a lot of effort, right, to move forward. So it was only YouTube during the initial days, regular videos. Over the period of time, you figure out what works for you, what don't work for you, the type of content that could drive the installs we wanted. So each video used to give promote that, okay, if you this is the type of questions you would be asked, and do download our app to get access to the free content you related to the similar topics at similar companies. You figure out some insights at what exact specific set of let's say content is more interesting, creates more engagement, and that's how we started scaling it up. For the period of time, we brought folks who do video on the channel. So that's how we right now we have probably 150K subscribers on YouTube, and that was the so initially it was all focused around YouTube, and till I could say that 100K major contribution would have been of YouTube, and again App Store optimizations, and these were the primary channels, I could say, for us. And definitely it's a blessing in disguise, because performance was not an option for us, so we only focused on a particular channel and scaled. So I would restrict till the 100, because this is 1 to 10 journey, right? Post that, maybe after you are able to invest, you could go for some other modes of growth. But yeah, for us it was around this itself.
You restricted it to mostly organic, and since you did a lot of YouTube, I have been a YouTuber for say a couple of years in between, before I started working actively on Heyo Phone, and then I've been doing YouTubing for Heyo Phone now. So we do have a YouTube channel. We have been trying to scale it up. We have been posting videos rigorously. So I would just take a moment from you, Swatantra, do highlight that I'm pretty sure a lot of people might be trying to go to social media to create content, be informative, and that's how they are trying to get some audience. Just do mention how many videos does it actually take initially, where you should actually start questioning, is this even working for me? Because I have a number in mind, but I want to ask you, is it the first 100, or should we actually start questioning after 10 videos it is working or not?
So I will say it won't be a good idea for me to give you exact number. The reason being that it depends on the market in which you are. Maybe in jobs, it's a demand for if folks want job. So I will get way more views and
Correct.
basically maybe installs compared to maybe in a different sector where that is not the case, right? So getting to a specific number would be very difficult for different markets, right?
Yeah, so not a specific number. So I'll just go forward and answer what I have been trying to fetch from you is that whenever we work on YouTube or any social media, because I've worked closely and I've handled social media for Heyo Phone and my operator as well. What I've realized is people tend to ask for results very quickly. I've been posting on social media for 6 months. I'm not getting any likes. I'm not getting any follows. Nobody is watching my videos. I just get 200 views. Look at other creators. They have been getting so many views in the same domain. Two things that I would say to everybody who's listening to me right now is that when you look at other creators, you're looking at them when they are already at 150K. So right now, if you look at Swatantra's journey, you're very happy. Oh, he's at 150K, so he's doing very well. Why can't I do it? You fail to question yourself. When he started out, he also was just posting one video. He was seeing, say, 100 views one day and then 500 in the 1 month. 6 months down the line, there were around 1,000, 2,000 views. And then when you continuously post for 6 months, when you do that posting 100 videos, 200 videos rigorously, then you start seeing some traction when YouTube starts pushing and they realize, in simply put, that, hey, I see that this content creator has been posting. So let me push this content to people because he has been consistent and everybody else in the domain is failing after 50 videos, 100 videos. So whosoever is listening and thinking of using social media, don't start questioning your performance when you are just 6 months into the game. कि तुम्हारे 500 follower आ गए and you're like, hey, it's just 500 followers. I'm not getting anything. I don't think this is going to work for me. It is going to work in the longer run. People you are comparing yourself to, they're already there after they have worked for longer run. Nobody has just got there. They started the channel and then one fine day they got 100K. It's not going to happen unless probably you are a celebrity. So yeah, that could definitely happen if you just get on Instagram and post one photo. So there's that. But Manish, talking about social media, there's this one quick question that I have for you.
Something.
Yeah, so I want to say something.
Yeah, sorry.
In fact, just want to add to what you said is that I think it's for all organic channels, the fundamental problem you will face is that it's really slow. The advantage of organic channels is a long-term asset because it takes time to build. But yeah, the growth would be maybe it's SEO, maybe it's YouTube. It will take time, and you have to continue experimenting on multiple type of content, what is working, what is not working, and you have to be prepared for it. Will take a lot of time.
Manish.
I'll just add one more thing to what Swatantra told. Absolutely spot on what you mentioned. I just did this exercise like 4 days ago. It was on last Thursday or Friday. So I guess everyone knows about Mr. Beast, right? Like, he's the most followed YouTuber. Just do one simple exercise. Go to his oldest videos. He has been posting since 8-9 years. Just look his videos for the first 3 years. Absolute trash. So trash. But you see, every year he has been changing his narrative, has been changing his content style. And it was from, year like last 6 years onwards, that is where he started picking up. He understood what exactly his target audience wants and what exactly it's working. And today, he also, in one of the video, he mentions that the brightness on the thumbnail is directly proportional to the number of followers, what he gets, and number of views he gets. So he reached to that level. So it's like 8 years of experiment. This is something what we learned also the hard way. But yeah, if someone is trying to scale business on YouTube, so I guess he's one of the best examples to learn how exactly patience is eventually going to reap benefits on YouTube. But yeah, just wanted to add that factoid, which I just did recently as an experiment. Yeah.
That's true. And another tech YouTuber called Marcus Brownlee, somebody who actually now gets access to, I guess, the first tech in the market. He's one of the first few people who gets access. He's, I would say, what India has in technical Guruji, the world has in Marcus Brownlee. When you see his videos when he was such a kid, and you won't even find him the same way he was.
Yes.
Right now he has a studio. He has a big ass setup. When you are making videos, you have big cameras, proper studio, a big team behind you who's editing and posting those videos in 2 hours, 3 hours. It was not always the same. They were recording from a regular phone.
Yes.
So I think, that is where you have to start, you have to become Marcus Brownlee. Just wait, keep posting, keep doing it, and start understanding how YouTube works. So Manish, again, I was coming to you with this thing only. that in these times when the attention span of Gen Z specifically, I mean, I'm pretty sure my father still looks at the entire video of hammering a nail into the wall.
Yes.
I don't know why, but he does that. So for Gen Zs, the attention span is very short. How were you able to capture their attention span to something totally new, totally rather bizarre for people to understand finance, gaming, and whatnot? How did you do it?
One small correction is not just Gen Zs. Our significant target users is young millennials. So we have a small portion of Gen Z. We started off specifically with Gen Z, but then we saw a huge number of users coming in from young millennial segment. And right now, our power users are mostly only millennials. So we are learning also. We're learning eventually. But across all these things, one thing which you mentioned was attention span. There's something called a switching cost in business, right? For B2B businesses, it is very high. Like, moving from your existing application to a new application, the cost is so high. But in a B2C centric application, it is like this. Like today, you're getting excited, enticed. Tomorrow, it just goes away. Google for Phone Pay being one of the best examples where everyone can relate to. Now, that is where behavioral economics comes into picture. Like this is something which we have been reading very much. Indians have a specific psychology. Indians have a specific behavior pattern. And two of the biggest things what people in India wanted, I mean, especially the target group, what we understood was we did an experiment where what do you do from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock you sleep, and your day-to-day habits plus your app consumption patterns. And this, we did it with good 600 people. Of the 600, we spoke with 200, 400 were organic surveys, what we did. And through that, we got two important behavior points that they would be ready to sort of accept something new, which is rewarding in nature. And secondly, finance for them is something where they don't lose money at the end of the day. For example, these were the people who were going into stock market and took a step back because they have been losing, but they're getting inspired by these stories of long-term benefits from other big influencers because they have been in the game for a long period of time as well. So, but in a nutshell, these were the two behaviors what we noticed, that people want to invest but don't want to lose money. And at the same time, even though they're doing something good for them, they had to be rewarded for it. And we offered both those things in a single platter. On one hand, the asset class will always grow. That is something which we made sure to list on the platform, which is always growing. Gold being very emotionally sentimental to nature, and the 12% fund right now, what we have, it always grows, no losses. Secondly, we're rewarding them for the behavior what they have. So what they are expecting, we just offered it on a platter. And the biggest cherry on the top was we got 72% of our user base through referrals until our previous funding round. And we asked people why exactly you're referring and why are you downloading once a friend is referring. We got two biggest answers out of it. They told that finance is sticky in nature and you are giving me returns, so that's why I'm stuck to it. And secondly, gaming is a community driven activity. So I want to play with my friends. My friend is there on this application, so that is why I'm there. So it is all about understanding your consumer, what the consumer wants, and never go with secondary market information. That is what we believe in. Secondary, you just read it. Primary, once you speak, you get. And right now we're getting so many interesting applications at very, very niche level and being massively profitable. They're able to build it only after speaking with such niche people at the first experience. And that is where we are able to sort of get a good sticky quotient onto a platform. And being a B2C, retention is one of the biggest metrics what we measure. We are going with the North Star goal of having a retention of over 50% for 3 months. And we're there, we're almost there. And that's a very, very good metric to have in the B2C fintech ecosystem. So again, in a nutshell, what I would love to say is like, understand your consumer. Nothing else beats it. Ask as many questions as possible. You will get the answers at the end of the day. Don't give up because one consumer is saying no to a survey. You want to build a profitable business, so just go out and start asking questions. That is what we did, because which we were able to capture the stickiness quotient onto the platform, what a consumer was expecting.
That's actually very fair. When you say don't go for secondary research, I think me and Rimjhim were talking about this a couple of days back only. Yeah. And she asked me to get some information about the partner program, about various other companies and various other successful people. So she did mention this same exact thing which you just said. Yeah. Don't Google it. Don't go for the secondary research. Try talking to people. If you can, go to LinkedIn, check out with people, ask them, the founders of the apps that you are looking for. and try to get into a conversation with them, ask them what exactly worked for them, because that is the right thing. Checking on Google, I think ChatGPT will do it for you in a second. And I don't think that's going to take you anywhere. So, I'll move towards the end of this discussion before we take the Q&A. Rimjhim, I'll come to you because I just mentioned you. I just want to understand from you. You started from somewhere, we started from somewhere. We had a particular psyche in mind, particular hypothesis. We thought that this is how Heyo will sell, this is who we'll sell it to, and all these things. Now, after almost a year, things might have changed. So how has the vision at Heyo changed? How have you changed in terms of product, in terms of marketing strategies, in terms of even the founding team's mindset about who to sell Heyo to and who is it for? Because that is all based on primary research. I think that is what we have done in the last 1 year.
Right. I think, so when as Manish said, there's been a pivot in the terms of audience. He said that they moved from Gen Z and realized that the power users are actually millennials. So I think that the same happens for a product, right? You make certain assumptions when you build a product. You make certain assumptions about your audience, you make certain assumptions about their preferences, you make certain assumptions about their paying powers. When you build for that market, then you roll out iteration, and that's why you roll it out in iteration rather than rolling the entire vision at one go. And you try to find a product market fit. As you find the product market fit, you realize that there are audiences that you didn't consider in the first place, one. Second, and there are a lot of surprises. Some people you thought that they will be using it, they don't use it. Some people you thought that they could never use it, they will never use it. So I'll give you kind of one example out of this. So when we built, we were very city focused. We'll go to Delhi, then we'll go to Noida, then we'll go to Gurgaon. And then what we realized was, people use numbers because at the end of the day, Heyo gives you a smartphone number, which may not always be, reflecting the city that they're in. So for example, people around Calcutta, whether or not they're in Calcutta, the Eastern Zone might use a 033 number. Also, some people might be using a number starting with 079 or 080 because they look like mobile numbers. So we ditched that, that city specific plan, which would have been very painful for us, going city-wise and investing in that kind of infrastructure. And we do not need so much of the number series. We probably only need to create, some number series, which is, popular, anchored to say metro cities, and, have certain other, and also some anchorages to the high business areas or, high MSME concentration areas. And we saw people veering towards those numbers. So this was a learning. Second, there have been certain assumptions. For example, there was an assumption that north would be the fastest, east or south would probably be the slowest. When actual numbers came out, east or south were the fastest to adopt. That's where we started thinking for the Kolkata and the Chennai markets, right? So it was a surprise because again, there were biases because it's a founding team's bias. You think of people like you. Founding team is from Delhi, they start thinking about Delhi, right? Or they start thinking about north. It's kind of not right or wrong. It's just how we humans are. We assume, we assume people like us are smart. We assume people not like us are not smart enough. That's the human bias that we have. So as we built for this market, we kind of challenged a lot of biases. A lot of our biases got challenged. And also, I think, we also got out of you have mansplaining. All right. And I don't want to kind of take a stand on it right now. I know I'm outnumbered. But there's also this concept of starters planning. We founders, engineering background, smart MBAs, walked across the world. We think we're really smart. And we do starters planning. We explain to our consumers what they want. And we realize that the SMBs are far smarter than us. And they exactly know what they want. So we talking down to them or telling them what they want, no. We had to realize that we have to serve them and serve them profitably. We have to listen to what they want. We have to give them the feature that they're looking for. So there was a feature list that we were working on. It kind of, beyond the first couple of iterations, I don't think we've followed that list. We've just gone by market insights. So this is what has changed. And if you look at the future journey also, I think it's kind of incorporating a lot of those learnings. We are looking for power features, which either a lot of SMEs have already asked for, or early versions of the features that have gotten the maximum traction. We'll look at us as becoming a very active pan-India brand. I think India has enough market before we think of even going out. That's the vision for the next 3 years. And I think in the next 3 years, we're looking at a million plus paying users. Not any vanity metrics. We're looking at a million plus paying users kind of a journey. which I think the early numbers have shown the promise. But whether we achieve it totally depends on the execution and keeping our nose to the ground.
That's fair. That's fair. And you're right. A lot has changed. We every month we think of something of late, just for the audience sake. Recently we had a discussion talking about OKRs and KRAs and KPIs for the Heyo's founding team, my team who has been working on Heyo, social media, the videos and everything. And we realized that we have been changing our KRAs every month based on what the current situation is and how we want to play with the current situation. So we realized that the KRA thing, which is the very structured approach that we as Rimjhim said, people who we think we are smart. So we're going by the Peter Drucker psychology. Ki hame aise karna hai, we want this thing, we'll make a plan. But at times you have to ditch the plan, you have to see what's going on. And then you have to take the best call on that basis. So these basic things like we'll make a KRA and we'll stick to it for 3 months. That's not going to cut it, at least in the startup ecosystem. So Swatantra, even for you, you have a market where people are getting entry-level job trainings. But of course, you yourself, I would say, you have developed something, you're already at a good scale. People look up to you. So you definitely are not entry-level. How does that bias affect you? And how did that affect you initially when you had that bias? You were not an entry-level guy, you were building something. So did you have that bias initially with you also? You were not aware exactly kya chal raha. Then you spoke to people, then you realized, oh, this is not what happens.
I think over the period of time as a founder, you realize that you don't know anything. Talk to users, talk to users, talk to users. Ensure that, okay, you have the best engineers, you have the best product manager, but do ensure just one thing, they are frequently talking to users. Because quite often you get influenced by maybe, especially if you are building for India, right? You read some case study Medium article or watch some podcasts of maybe some American founders, how they cracked a problem in Bay Area, and then you're like, maybe we could try something of that sort in India, and you get to know that, okay, it's not going to be working here. You have to you have to ensure that you understand who your users are, what they do, what they like, what they don't like. Only then you could, whether it's cracking your growth, whether it's cracking the retention. It's a very, especially India is a very tricky market in this. You can't be biased. Each and every day, it's been 4 years, but each and every day I learn new things. There's no, and in fact, this is the same story with growth also, that even a particular channel may not work always. Something which is working maybe right now is going to be saturated after a while. It's not scalable. You have to figure out a new channel. And same is the case with maybe a product feature that, okay, it was initially looking good, but it's now there's a cap or specific audiences segment is very interactive with that feature. The other segments are not that promising. You have to, maybe you have capped the type of audience a particular channel is bringing. You have to explore other channels, and that's where I think it becomes an entire loop, right? You have to talk to users who figure out some new insights, do a couple of experiments, figure out what is working. If it's working, just scale it up. Not working, increase the number of experiments. And the best thing you could do is to not have a bias.
That is what you have to work to avoid. I think that is one of our biggest effort, to avoid having a bias. And I have realized that lately. It keeps on breaking every day. Every day we come up with something, this will definitely work. And then we realize, oh,
every time you don't know, the most promising thing doesn't work, and what was least expected turns out to be work.
And I think our worst enemy as founders are all those McKinsey reports that put people into labels. The moment you start looking at them, this is what Gen Z is. This is where you kind of stop looking at, regional identities. You stop looking at ground realities. And we realize that McKinsey is a global, or McKinsey or, another such report. They're extremely smart, but very smart consultants. But they are probably also talking about, the world is not flat. Apologies to Thomas Friedman, the world is not flat. Your geography, India is not flat at all. You go from colony to colony in a city like Delhi or Calcutta or Mumbai, the entire world changes.
There's chaos everywhere.
It's chaos everywhere. The worst thing is you put labels on people. You put label on people, you're done for. So I think, yeah, I agree with you. No, we have to get rid of biases.
Totally there. So when we say we get get rid of biases, I'd say my last question for this discussion to Manish, which I think even Utkarsh has asked in the chat, is that what channels do we use to talk to our users? Because you three have mentioned this, talk to users. Swatantra just reiterated it. Rimjhim also mentioned, talk to your users, talk to your partners. How do we do that, Manish? How have you done it so far?
That's a very good question. I'll tell you how exactly we spoke to our first users. I had my own, LinkedIn network. I made the best out of it, to be honest. Every random page where I knew my potential TG would be there, I just went and shot a survey form and I told that, fill this survey form. I'm going to give you one person is going to get 1,000 rupees in Amazon gift vouchers. And I actually gave, once people started seeing that this guy is actually giving, people started giving me very healthy insights. So that is how I mean, there's so many forms available in the market out there in every platform, and you had to stand out and get very quality information. So I thought subtle incentivization will sort of help in some way. It actually worked for me. To work for me. So first, my LinkedIn network. Second, this thing. Third, this is what me and Shaurya did. Every day for 2 hours, we both were going to different parts of the places where we are staying. Where exactly we knew our TG would be there, we just went and merged into them and started speaking very randomly. For example, I don't smoke. I just went to a chai tapri, took a chai and just handled a fake cigarette. And I just started, that's how conversations pick up with that. It happens cigarettes are like conversation builders. That's what I realized after building something. So I just used to ask, questions. Hey, what you're doing? Where are you working? Etc. Etc. I take myself as, someone who's aspiring to get into another company. That's how I viewed my questions. So tried every Tom, Dick, and Harry method to sort of get the primary insight possible, but I made sure not to do one thing: ask your friends for questions. This is one of the biggest mistakes what people do is they reach out to their friends for surveys. Your friends will always give you biased information. And I mean, if you have few legitimate people, then absolutely spot on. But if you think that you spoke with 10 to 20 of your friends and think that you did a customer survey interview, that's absolutely not. So that is one of the things what we baked in, that we need to ask those people whom we don't know. Believe or not, there was a huge in Bangalore, you find these zones of Swiggy drivers. We're speaking with different cohort of people within the same TG as well before coming up with an idea. We randomly went one fine day, we accumulated them and asked them, hey, what do you think? What do you think? And that's how we got a first set of 2,000 consumer interviews done. So yeah, it was all about hustle. There's no right answer to it. It's similar to, there's no right answer to how you get your go-to-market strategies. You always keep experimenting them. One thing works, you just scale on that. But on the other hand, we always kept experimenting. That's been how exactly we have been experimenting with our channels for getting primary research data. Once you have the platform, once you have a user base, right now we have a customer success team. We know we divide the cohorts of people. We ask them specific questions within the application and float forms that you could do eventually. But first, research is very difficult. For that, you absolutely need to hustle down, and there's no absolutely binary answer for it, to be honest.
For real, right? So before I move on to questions, very quickly, Rimjhim and Swatantra, what are your ways that you are talking to users? Swatantra, you may start. What are your ways you are talking to users?
So see, right now, again, depends on the stage, right? When
Yes.
we were 0-1, we were training them, right? So talking to users, it was
Their daily task.
calling them, getting them to go for interviews. And as we scale up the users, basically with the signups, we divide them into maybe segments, okay, based on the details they have filled on the app. And it's basically there are a couple of formats. One, you could have a general conversation just to understand the person of who your users are, who are signing up on the platform, just to get an insight of who are using your product in what way. Then there are kind of user research related user calls, right? You have some tactical questions in mind you want answers for, right? So for quite often for me, it's as simple as that. If there's a product feature, I want to understand the set of users who are using this particular feature. I just download this segment and open my Airtable, right? Import this and go on a call and have some pre-decided set of questions like what I want to infer, go through a couple of calls. I have the data. From there, you could start inferring the maybe a pattern or some
Correct.
set of simple answers, which were pretty, maybe after going through that call, it seemed pretty obvious, which was like a complete blank before that. So other than that, we do quite often, we have done like, we just take Google Forms and drop a notification on the users with a set of questions, and we, within an hour or so, we get the proper survey data
Of
of
course.
what you get. So I think it's pretty, you have so many tools these days that and you could use to get insights, or maybe a simple call to users, telling them the intent of the call and asking them. Quite often users love to share their feedbacks, is what I have seen. If they are power users specifically, they will tell you way more than you would have asked for.
Correct. Rimjhim, what about you?
Right. Okay. So, and like I said in the beginning, so Ankit and the team already had some primary knowledge basis their earlier startup, and all of the founding team, I think we came with some experience, but I think we kind of still left our biases, try to leave the biases out of the door. So the channels that I specifically choose are basically walk-ins. So we
Okay.
had a prototype. Remember, we had a version of the Heyo Phone in the alpha stage which had already working, and we saw, there was, the way we kind of got the first few downloads were through some WhatsApp and some Facebook marketing. We then went to those users first, we were intrigued, so obviously if they've downloaded and using it, even if they're using a free trial, there was some problem we are solving for them. So we took the suggestions from them, and still we do a lot of walk-ins, we try finding out users, we try finding out people who have gone inactive, for example. Churned users say much more about the product than even retained users do. And we try and kind of meet them face to face, walk into their shop, see them work, and kind of spend time with them. So for instance, I was in Noida last month. We walked into an MSME store, a proper hardware store, and there was this person running it. Again, a very intelligent person, even if he doesn't speak the best of English. We kind of, anyway. So we often have those biases, but he gave me such good insights on what is the product lacking. So those walk-ins, I think, are my first thing. Second is, obviously you cannot reach every person. That is why we have formed this partner program now. And through these partners, again, we are looking at them as the voice of the customers, right? So for them to come and kind of tell us what it is. Third is, even as Swatantra said, even we have rolled out service, we have rolled out, for example, an up-40 form to see, to ask partners and users which are the features that they are voting for. Fourth, I think we are also using forums like, say, BNI or Fiki, or Fiki is kind of still evolved users, maybe a Wiki, etc. So we go to those forums, we talk to the members there, show them the product, get their feedback. I think forums like this give the advantage that they're already aggregating people, so it gives us an advantage of talking to a number of businesses at the same time. Actually, kind of done all the drill, when tracking these association partnerships, or even just been asking the association for a favor, just let us talk to users. And again, it's kind of in a startup world, you realize as a founder, you end up becoming shameless. You ask people for money, you ask people for favors, you ask people for interactions. I'm going to ask Swatantra how we scaled the YouTube after this. And so you kind of, you make this habit of asking. And so I guess this habit of asking stays with you. And that is how I think we've been getting as I said, getting a lot of our feedback.
That's totally sounds fair. So we have, for the audience, we have a lot of ways where you can talk to people. I'll leave it to you to choose the best one that works for you. And while we do that, let's move on to questions. So there's one question for you from Smita. Manish, can you elaborate the retention strategies that you're using for driving the 50% NSM?
See, we have always been learning. We did not get the answer right on day one. But firstly, the product itself was able to retain, like when you're continuing to save with the application, people are getting rewarded, right? So the product itself had an inherent feature of having the capability to retain consumers, but you cannot always peg onto the product. It'll always make sure that the consumer is sticking onto your platform. So that is where our next learning sort of came into picture. Few of our power users dropped off, and we called them up and asked, hey, why did you drop off? You were there with us for a good amount of time. Why did you go away? Then they told about a couple of other things, like they wanted more assets and they wanted automated savings and investing features. So that is the second time we realized that okay, the product has reached a point where more than this, if you want to retain, you need to start building new features and introducing new assets. So that is where we started building new versions of the product. Now once this is done, we wanted to checkbox on the basic things which can always help you out with retention. And that is where we found out that newsletters is one of the very powerful medium of retention, which very, very less people utilize it. And we found through that, we were able to sort of bring in so much people sticking onto the platform, like just give them the daily update, weekly snapshot of how exactly you're learning. So 3 things in a nutshell. First, the product was able to sort of build the retention features. Secondly, we were trying to understand the consumers at a very concrete level with whatever they're asking, making sure that the product is molding, because consumer also grows, right? Eventually, like a younger version of myself needs X, 1 year later, X plus Y ho jata hai. So you need to make sure the product is also molding. And thirdly, of the basic things like push notifications and other things, newsletter is something which worked out very, very great. So yeah, these are 3 ways how exactly we're able to sort of have good retentions with our consumers.
All right. And then a follow-on question from Smita was, how do you plan for referral conversions as this is an unpredictable channel? So how do you plan for your referrals and how do you think that, how are you so certain that they will pay out? Manish, this is for you.
Oh, this is for me. I thought you.
Yeah,
you
I said
asked,
it's a follow-on
okay,
question.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I just missed out on the question. So can you just repeat that once again?
How are referrals? Because referrals are pretty much unpredictable. So, you run an ad,
Yes.
people will click and they'll download.
Yes.
Referral you don't know. So how do you plan for that?
See, referral is one of the biggest challenges which no one will speak of referral market is there are a lot of referral mongers out there. Point one, you need to build a strategy in such a way that you're not getting. You might think that your referral program is just kicking it out of the park, but just the referral mongers are trying to benefit out of your ecosystem. So firstly, you need to make sure to sort of devise a referral plan which has good barriers of entry through which you're getting very, very quality consumers. Now comes the second point of fact that why exactly is a consumer referring your app to someone? Is it because he's excited for the incentive nature of the product, or is he excited because it's actually bringing in value to the other person? Like he or she wants to be in the same ecosystem or not. And that sort of helped us out in a very good way. And for some of the most successful referral programs, that is what works. Like I'll tell you the best referral program for me in my life, what I've seen is the early days of Tinder. Our investors are one of the investors of Tinder. They told like why exactly Tinder went so viral, because it solved a very, very niche, a very existing problem statement that meeting another person is very, very difficult, and they made it exclusive. They told that if you want to go into, they partnered with a lot of pubs out there in New York, and they told that if you want to get into this pub and meet a other partner, you need to have the application. So once you crack the necessity, like, and if someone want to get that entry, they had to have Tinder on their application. So that is how you made sure that what consumer wants is present in the application. And through that, you build a very incentivized referral program. That's how you sort of build a very, very good referral network out of it. So if you're just thinking that, hey, like I'm building an application, I'll give like 1,000 rupees as a referral, that does not work at all. You need to make sure that the referral program is actually baked very closely with your product, and your product, if it is actually solving a good necessity for a consumer, then nothing beats it in terms of referrals. One of the best example was Google Pay. Though initially Google Pay gave, we read so many referral programs before molding us. That's why I have so many examples. We also read Google Pay referral program at a very niche level. Like it gave 51 rupees very immediately to everyone. Though initially they burnt cash, the other person was also finding value, that he was moving from cashless economy to cash-based economy to a cashless economy. Eventually they found the value. That's how we are understanding other referral programs. We're able to build out a very good referral program for ourselves. Yeah, not everything works. You also need to keep changing your referral program every now and then. At stage A, we had one. Right now, a very different referral program based on the evolution of our target audience.
Yeah. Rimjhim, you also know, because I know Heyo Phone. Heyo is also largely working on referrals. So what are your 2 cents about the question?
I think referral programs are hard to crack. I agree with Manish that it's not just about the cash incentive. First, so referral is also like a kind of recommendation, right? And why Tinder's recommendation or referral works is also the network effect, right?
Yeah.
So you are meeting, great guys or girls here, you'd probably want your friend also, or you would also want your friend to go into the same pub. So you're referring. So there's kind of, recommending A, the product has to be good, B, it has to be useful to your network. So that network effect, I'll not say we have 100% cracked it in Heyo, because again, it's a more heterogeneous market here as compared to say our Tinder's audience. What we are trying to build in is basically value for the SMB owner. And we are, kind of working on network programs where say even partners, where since we have a community of businesses where, they can also generate leads from within the platform. So that is where the power of the network is growing. So that means he sees a value in, expanding that network on his own. So these are some hacks we are trying. Second, again, I think one of the things we're trying is physical proofs. So what we have kind of tried as a hack is, because we are giving this person an identity through a phone number and through his WhatsApp engagement, we're also giving him physical proofs like a poster to put on his wall. And I think this has worked a lot with Google Pay and Phone Pay. That's so recognizable brands. You walk into any shop, you see a Paytm poster or a Phone Pay poster. We are giving them business cards, etc. Because once he is kind of sharing that number, sharing his business card, that automatically sparks the conversation, and we're putting his referral code. What we are doing here.
Right.
I think these are. I'll probably come and have this conversation again in 3 months. I still don't have an answer on how we have cracked. It's very early.
Referral program.
And
Yeah.
SMB market is tougher to crack in terms of a referral program. It's a much more heterogeneous market, much more value-driven market, and also a market where time is very important. So for me,
Good.
to even refer to 10 people, it needs some my time. It's time that I'm taking off my business. So what will make me take that 10 minutes off my business to refer to my 10 people? I was still trying to crack that.
That's fair. That's fair. So, all right. So the next question is for Swatantra, which is about his YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure, Swatantra, you're going to get quite a few subscribers now. So for YouTube. So is YouTube still relevant for you as a channel at more than 1 million downloads so far, million users? And with the advent of this Instagram Reels and TikTok and short form content, is YouTube still relevant for you as a channel? Is the question.
I think if you talk specifically of YouTube, yeah, because it's a channel, and so it's just like not our own channel. To scale up, once we had the investment, we also did a lot of influencer marketing on YouTube. So there's a lot of influencers who have posted video, basically maybe featuring one of the jobs which job seekers could apply from our platform or a particular course. They've basically featured. So YouTube in general definitely gave us a lot of traffic, and still, because organic channels have this beauty that they become a pipeline, right? You maybe there's a decrease in the number of installs, but you will get something. Like if you go for a performance, if you are running the ad, you are driving installs or maybe getting the leads, but once you are down, it's done, right? But organic channels continue giving you some outcome. If you talk about definitely the volume, maybe the particular playbook which was working, the format, the content which was working is not working right now. You have to try some other format. And same is the case with Instagram also. We have tried a lot of channels. We have posted content on Instagram as well. We use SEO also. Maybe Instagram didn't work for us. SEO drove a lot of traffic for us. It's just like you specifically can't say that a particular channel is working or not. It's just like if the channel has a decent audience size, it's more of the format. Maybe the format of content at a particular channel is working, may not work, or you may have not tracked it on a particular channel. Maybe Instagram is not something we have cracked so far. YouTube, some content we have cracked. Maybe we were able to drive 80K installs in 4 or 5 days. That format of content is no longer working for us now. SEO would have worked for a while. Then there are some other set of challenges which come with SEO. So you just have to keep trying various content type. As long as the channel has a decent audience size, I don't think it's a point of whether that channel is working or not at the moment.
Yeah, I think when you have the audience over there, you just have to try new stuff that is coming in, and you always have shorts on YouTube. So even if it is YouTube, you still have shorts now, which is similar to Instagram. That is what we are doing at Heyo Phone. We are actually seeing more action on YouTube Shorts as compared to Instagram Reels, because as you mentioned earlier, YouTube is the go-to place for people, at least when it comes to business or maybe job seeking. They do go to YouTube to search for things. So that is where we are also getting traction. All right, so we have another question from Rajveer. This is something that I think Rimjhim and Manish will get to answer. It will be enjoyable for you. So the question is very simple. Rajveer has a product, an application rather, and he wants to understand how in the longer term can I explain my product in one simple line or a few lines, because the product is rather a little confusing. It cannot be explained in one line. This I know for sure. Heyo, may problem aata hai Rimjhim, because we are finding it very tough for the last 1 year. What is that one sentence that explains what Heyo does? And I think shame, Manish, for you. What is that one sentence that explains what Fellow does? So I'll take it with Rimjhim first. Rimjhim, how do you do that on social media where a lot of people are watching, and you explain कैसे होगा एक line में?
फिर भी मैंने track नहीं किया है अभी तक, honestly. But what I share is, again, listen to what your audience is saying about it. So I might want to call it, the ultimate CX app. But when people are saying, oh, मेरे इससे ना calls ठीक ठाक हो जाता है and I'm able to get business. That is how our Heyo लगेगा to business बढ़ेगा came in. And I wanted to call it, we wanted to put in some, strategic words into it. Strategic words works very well for, again, enterprises. When you're especially building for, for audience, yeah, you stay clear of them. Second is, एक line में explain नहीं होता है तो एक line में explain मत करो. Put a video.
Correct.
That's why we started making videos of it, and we started making videos in Hindi. Eventually, we've also gone to videos in Bangla, Tamil, and regional languages. And we realized that if we cannot explain in one line, we cannot explain in one line. We'd rather show and tell. And that's how videos got us the maximum traction.
Correct.
So, let's not worry if you're not able to explain it in one line. Again, hear what your customers are saying about it. The first 20, 25 customers, how are they relating to it? And use that line. So, or use those words. And they speak in their language.
That's right. Manish, what about you? How do you explain Fellow in one line?
I guess, see, in simple we say that we're making banking fun and rewarding. That is what we say right now. But if you ask me, did I get this in day one? Absolutely no. I still remember my first pitch. It was for 5.5 minutes, and they just told that what are you even talking at the end of the day. And I got so demotivated कि मैं इतना prepare करके आ गया, and they don't even give a damn about my 5-minute pitch. And that is the first time I got an insight that you might have so many things to say, but the people will only want to hear a lot of those things in a very, very crisp format. And that is how we started subtracting all the jargons, all the adjectives, everything, and we made the pitch into 2 minutes. Now, post that, you want to explain your product within one single line. That is where I feel that you will always keep evolving. I'll give you one best example. Like I was working with HSBC in 2016. It being like such an old 100-year-old bank, in 2016, they renamed, they changed their one-liner from XYZ to, I guess they call them world's local bank. Back then, they were calling like a world's leading bank. They changed to world's local bank. It always keeps evolving with your target audience because, for example, credit back then, it was, pay your credit card bills. Right now, pay anything. They changed it. So with your product, the tagline changes. But again, you need to be in a position to sort of get to one go. And I guess Swatantra can sort of relate to it big time. Being at YC, you need to sort of write your company tagline in 50 letters, like 50 characters. That is where I realized, how to sort of tell about and we had to tell about the company. We have to tell about the product offering as well in that line because investors see that. And that is the first time I banged my head and finally got how exactly I can do everything in it. It was multiple iterations. And finally, we were able to sort of at least crack at the stage where we are right now because people are able to understand it. So yeah, I guess that is that. I guess Swatantra also will have his own bit of story to see how he got his one-liner at YC.
You triggered nostalgia actually. So in YC, we have to say limited words. So what we used to do quite often, we used to multiple iterations is what you would require. You write it down, maybe tell someone who don't know what you are building. Give your insights, what you think we have built.
Exactly.
Then you read and then like, okay, what I wrote and what he's saying, inferring is completely different. You do a next phrase and then you continue doing that until you have the most simple, easy to explain
You might
So
think
the
the
one
most
liner of
fanciest
what you
thing,
are
but at the end of the day, you'll get a very simple one-liner which a consumer tells, and that is what we picked up right now. Like as Rimjhim told, like your consumer still different iterations. Usme se we pick the best version, and that is what we are using right now, to be honest.
In
So
fact, I
Raj,
just found it's kind of just a funny story, but funny or interesting thing, and Sarat kind of was at the forefront of this. We made him wear a t-shirt. I'm sure he still cringes at that. उसमें लिखा था आपका फोन स्मार्ट है और पीछे लिखा था बट आपका नंबर स्मार्ट है क्या? And he walked into a Your Story conference and he said, I'm a walking billboard today. I got 100 downloads. I was like, okay, the smart number is working. We'll put it into a VC page. And actually got a funding. So, yeah.
yeah, I think yeah. So I did that. But I checked it. I put it on my Instagram story. Walking billboard done. That is one milestone of life achieved. So yeah, I think Rajvi, you can also try that. One thing that people do at YC, try writing your proposition in 50 characters, not 50 words. I think that's how you'll be able to crack it. So last couple of questions because we're already overshot the time, but yeah, it's very interesting. So Ratnakar asked, we are into marketing assistance sphere. We take care of task at affordable cost. Couldn't find the question in that. So I'll just leave it here. Then the last question comes as Dishi. What could be your biggest lesson to connect with the audience and constantly make them stay in touch with the brand? I think you all three have done it so far. You all three can answer, and that is how we'll be putting a very good end to this session. So let's start with you, Manish. You're on my top left. What has been your biggest lesson to connect with the audience, and how do you constantly stay in touch?
How to like what has been the biggest lesson to connect with the audience? I mean, that's such a good question. I'm trying to think of it, but I have the answer also. Like, first thing is deliver what they need. Point one. If you're delivering what they need, when you ask them the question, they're going to give you the right output to it at the end of the day. For example, we offered Fello as a product, and with our power users, once we ask them the right set of questions, we get the right set of answers. And once you take the feedback from them, make sure to sort of implement the feedback within the application. That is how they sort of stick around with the application. Just you make a call, you used to make a communication. After that, you just leave it haywire. Then they're not going to sort of stick around to the product or how exactly you sort of communicate with them. So first thing, what I understood is, as a product, you make sure what they sort of what they want, you sort of show it on the application. Second, ask the right set of questions. And thirdly, make sure that their opinion is being felt. I mean, I'm again rooting on the first thing, maybe like make sure that their opinion is being felt. In our newsletters, we do it. Like we say that, why exactly we are building this version of the product. We say that, hey, like, I mean, this new feature, we say that these many people have actually asked this feature. That is why we're actually building it. So empathize with the consumer as much as you possible. Don't empathize with the idea of what you got, because that might not be something which the consumer might be resonating. So make sure that the consumer is being felt with their values and decision. That is how you'll always be able to sort of speak with them irrespective of whatever state they are. Not 100, like you might not every time a consumer will be ready for the call, but it's all about patience. The good consumer will always get back to you. And that is what we saw with the people who give us very quality feedback.
That sounds fair. Rimjhim, what about you? What is the biggest lesson talking to the audience? How to connect with audience and constantly stay in touch?
Right. So, so how to connect with audience is something that we've covered before. I talk about, staying in touch, because, it's kind of one thing is to get users on your platform. The second is to, retain them. And, to really get profitable or, really expand your revenue tenfold, retention is a game that you have to crack. That is where the LTV, the lifetime value comes. Now, how do you crack this retention game? As I said, it's still early in the, journey. We have kind of got excellent onboarding numbers. And we are obviously trying to kind of convert them into retained users. Once users are on the platform, it becomes all the more important. One is, your product lives up to the promise. So if there are problems that your customer is reporting, how proactive are you in solving them? Second, I think something very technical, but building a very strong notification strategy, and building a very strong notification and engagement strategy, and actually executing on it. So for instance, how do you how do you deepen the engagement? How do you aid product discovery? Through notifications. How do you make them take the next step? So they've they've taken, step 1, step 2. Now you want them to take the step 3. Are you building it into a scientific kind of a journey for the user? And you have to be very kind of precise and very, again, data driven in it. Understand user behavior and constantly tweak your notifications. If people are going inactive, are you making an attempt to reach out to them and understand why they are going inactive? And then, trying to solve the problems that can, make them come back. So I think, constantly being part of your user journey, having a very strong notification strategy and using feedback from those notifications or even your initial customer success team to kind of work on your NPS. Your net promoter score is finally what will, make you stay in the market. How good is the net promoter score? We talked about referral. Referral works when you have a high net promoter score, that more people are, willing to recommend you than, people who are detractors. So you're understanding your NPS, and then, using this data from the notification, the feedback to your customer success team, your NPS service to actually improve your product. Again, there's no easy way to it. You have to constantly keep doing it every iteration, every week, every fortnight, every month, and then you do it for as long as your business lives.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it has to be. Lastly, Swatantra, what are your 2 cents on this question?
I think, okay, maybe we'll go a bit philosophical. I think it's the journey, right? You can't be connected with each and every person who's using your platform. It's the journey, the experience which you give the person who is using the platform. And in the journey, one most important, as Rimjhim just said, is the promise, what you are promising when the person maybe installs your app or comes to your website. Maybe in our case, it's an outcome, which is a job, right? And so once you are well aware of the promise, maybe in some other case, it would be a good experience of maybe booking a hotel or whatever be the case. In our case, it's pretty simple. We want to upskill you to get to the stage that you are capable to crack the interview and get a job. And once you have that promise well defined, you could start building this journey. And I think that journey, overall experience that your user has on the platform, maybe that could be if a person is not able to introduce him or herself, a good, maybe using some machine learning models to maybe give the feedback of the answers they have written to so that they could improve their basic introductions, maybe the resources they need to learn from before going to the interview for a particular company. It's just like definitely it's not a problem statement, building a brand, being connected to users, which could be solved in a single set of steps, right? You just need to be very clear of what promise you are giving to your users when you bring them to the platform, and you try your best in each iterations, each sprints to make that promise delivered at scale, right? When you are we are talking about scalability. Obviously, if there's a one person, the outcome which you could deliver to that person is way easy. But if you are talking in millions, you have to use technology and be very aligned. Your entire team need to be very aligned on the values, what you want to give to your users. I think that is the thing that creates the brand and the word of mouth in general. And definitely we are also each and every day trying to create that experience on the platform.
Yeah, I guess Sudhindra, that sums it up with whatever we have discussed so far. That sums it up very well. And I think it's way beyond time, but it was a very good discussion. I don't think I had any reasons to tell you guys that the time is up, but it was so good that I went on asking questions. So thank you so much, Manish, Rimjhim, Swatantra, and the audience for joining us today, for helping us understand how things work out with startups, how to scale them. And I think if a couple of things that I can draw from this is that A, it is not going to be constant. So you need to keep on changing your strategies. And B, as Rimjhim put out, it's like founders are always going to ask for something. So you need to ask for the money, for the answers, for the feedback, everything. So you have to be that. You have to give up all the biases. That is what I have learned working with Rimjhim and Heyo Phone. And I think that is what you guys can take away from this session. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to seeing the audience again for the next session of Heyo Builder Series. And we promise to keep educating you in the same way. Thank you so much once again, speakers. Thanks a lot.
Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot for hosting us.
For having us.
Thank you.